It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball.
We are playing some baseball. SKOR North Twins Show. Mackie, Judd, Dex here. State of the Twins. Yeah, kind of is. Hey, they won. Won a game, snapped the losing streak. They got that going for them, all right? Baby steps. Baby steps, one thing at a time. Yesterday, I did an extra innings episode, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper with Mackie and Judd's thoughts, too, on Joe Ryan's comments about letting Sonny Gray walk in free agency a few years ago, plus a little bit more on what's happening with the Twins. I even just got an email from the Saints. There's Walker Jenkins media availability tomorrow at CHS Field. So Walker Jenkins, Twins top prospect, got off to a little bit of a slow start there in AAA, but there's still things to talk about with this team, all right? So hit the like button, subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show. Obviously, Purple Daily, we have football season ready to rock, so go check out Ventline later tonight and our NFL takes. That's also on the Purple Daily feed. Before I give a little bit of an overview of where this team sits and some things to talk about, Phil, tell us about where you get your teeth cleaned at after you were dentist list for such a long time.
That's right. In fact, I just got my alert that later on this month will be my next appointment, my 6-month appointment at Park Dental. Park Dental, over 50 years of caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and western Wisconsin, and very conveniently located Park Dental shops, too. I call them shops. You call them clinics, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. The word clinic, I don't know. I don't love that word. It says like negative connotations. But if you're looking for a good teeth cleaning, there's likely a Park Dental within a few minutes of wherever you work or live. Very convenient hours before work, after work. You can check the schedules at parkdental.com, where you can also schedule your checkup. Real quick, the Twins, before we get into all of this, the Twins they were like even neck and neck. No, at the All-Star break, they were second place in the division, if I remember correctly. And they are now, even after winning yesterday, 10 games back of the Royals. So they've lost 10 games in less than 2 months on the Royals, another middling American League team in that division. Not the Blue Jays, not the Tigers, the Astros, the Yankees, Red Sox. On the middling Royals, they've lost 10 games since the All-Star break. That's pretty wild.
Play the song.
Sure. Sarcastically, I happily will.
Thank you.
You got it. It's a party.
All right, so here's where the Twins are right now. 63-80 on the season. They have a minus 83 run differential. They're now in 4th place in the American League Central. 18.5 games back in the Central. 12 games out of the wild card. Yesterday, snapped a losing streak, and it's just their 7th win over the last month. I went to playoffstatus.com because I was trying to figure out tragic number update, as the clock strikes midnight here for Cinderella. So I believe they are mathematically out of winning the Central, correct? I think that part is true. They can't win the AL.
No, they're 18.5 back with, let's see here, 140. Well, they're 18.5 back with 19 games to play.
So
So if the Tigers were to lose, although if the Tigers play the Royals or Guardians, then that would throw a wrench into the math too, because it would mean that because you got to leapfrog those two teams.
Yeah.
In addition,
I'll go on a ledge and say they have no chance. They are dead.
Well, no, mathematically.
Yeah, right. No, I'm overruling math right now. I've never really liked math, so I'm overruling it.
Come on.
Clung, clung. They're 20 since the All-Star break, by the way. A little bit of some tweaks in the key categories. They're 23rd in runs scored as an offense. They are 28th in team ERA. So near the bottom of both of those categories. So we've kind of scrapped vibe checks for right now on the State of the Twins show. Check back on the vibes maybe in the offseason. Hell, maybe check back on opening day in 2026 as we get closer to spring training for...
Or 28.
Or 27, 28, 29.
28 when things might be better.
So let's do this instead. What is your least favorite current Twins thing? I don't think we should go with a positive. We probably should continue to talk about what's really hurting this team. Judd, what is your least favorite current Twins thing in the grab bag here of opportunities?
Well, I think mine is the fact that that Joe Ryan had to again articulate exactly how dire things are here with his comments about how could this have been different, which it appears the question was posed, what's happened here since, as we've all talked about, that magical playoff series, the 3-game series where you swept the Blue Jays. And Joe Ryan, rightfully so, discussed the decision to allow Sonny Gray to walk, which was I think Sonny Gray was the first victim of the right sizing the business, if I'm correct.
He was.
So yes. When Joe Pohlad said,
he's the logo.
We need to right size the business. Sonny Gray, who then jumped to the Cardinals, 3 years, $75 million, team option of $30 million for 2027. Joe Ryan's quote from Kansas City, I believe this was on Friday, is, "In my opinion, that goes down as the biggest mistake we have made since I've been here. Sonny wanted to come back. He loved it here. There were a lot of avenues we could have gone down if we had re-signed Sonny. I can guarantee we would have been in the playoffs last year, and we'd probably be in a better spot this year, you think?" Yeah. He was a top-notch guy, a great pitcher, incredible competitor, great guy in the clubhouse. I learned so much from him. We missed him last year. And so my two takeaways are this, because obviously what's done is done. But my biggest takeaway is Joe Ryan is not eligible for free agency for a couple more years. He is arbitration eligible. But I keep coming back to this. If I'm Joe Ryan, and more importantly, his representation, I think I'm probably trying to find a way out this winter. Like, why do you want to be here? This team is going nowhere. This is, you are in your prime. Like, you are a guy that if you were put on, I don't know, take your pick of competitors. Let's just say the Dodgers, because they try to get everybody. You can win a World Series and not just win one, but play a key role. And Sonny Gray, whether he was going to come back, I found it intriguing that Joe Ryan said he wanted to come back, because as I recall at that time, he was very frustrated and had expressed it about being pulled early in games, in his opinion, and not being allowed to continue. So there was a lot of conjecture, including, I think, by this show, that he didn't want to return. But nonetheless, I think it's just really, really sad that the first thing where Joe Pohlad said, we have to right size the business, saw a guy who, before he left here, was in Cy Young contention. By the way, was a great trade. That Reds trade turned out to be a great trade. And also, I fear that this is going to be the beginning of the end as far as Joe Ryan trying to force his way or get his way out of Minnesota.
Yeah, let's unpack the comments about Sonny Gray from a literal standpoint, and also more of a figurative. If that was the decision that really drove a wedge into the Minnesota Twins between the clubhouse and the front office and the ownership and the chemistry and everything, because all of those things were on point and aligned, it felt like, in October of 2023. Chemistry was great. Players were thriving, loving it, building something, fans, everything. And then Joe Pohlad comes out with the famous comments about right-sizing. Sonny Gray was the logo for that decision and going forward. So, like, quite literally, if we take Joe Ryan's words at face value, which is, and when I say literally, I mean, let's say you were to have kept Sonny Gray. It's a 3-year contract, but specifically for 2024, the first year of that contract. If you were to have given him the 28 starts that he had with the Cardinals, in which he posted at age 34 a 107 ERA plus, which is 100 being league average. So he had a 3.84 ERA, which was 7% better than league average. He was an above average ERA pitcher over 28 starts, 166 innings for the Cardinals. I could even drill down further and argue that maybe if he stays with the Twins, where he had probably his best ever back-to-back season run, that maybe, and then 10 years earlier, the first couple years in Oakland, if he stays in that infrastructure where he was thriving, does he have an even better performance at age 34 with the Twins than he did with the Cardinals? And that's an argument that we'd never be able to actually play out. But let's just take his numbers with the Cardinals, where his ERA was at 3.84 over 28 starts. And the Twins narrowly missed out on a playoff spot by completely collapsing in August and September. Well, they ran out Chris Paddock for 17 starts at a 5 ERA. David Festa just under a 5 ERA in 13 starts. And Zebby Matthews made 9 starts, 6.7 earned run average.
Yep.
So could you have replaced a huge chunk of those? So you had Pablo, Bailey Ober, Simeon Woods Richardson was passable, kind of a league average starter, Joe Ryan. If you were to have replaced the 3 guys, and Louis Varland, by the way, started 7 games to a 7.5 ERA.
Yeah.
So those 4 guys, they're just cobbling together starts to try and find anything. You take 28 of those and give them to Sonny Gray. Quite literally, they make the playoffs in 2024.
Yeah.
And then there's the figurative sort of cultural stuff that what you're saying to your team is this guy who was a central figure for us winning a playoff series for the first time in 20 years is expendable at $25 million a year because we need to prioritize right-sizing the business. And the damage that decision does to the clubhouse, to the fan base, even to the front office, because that's a situation where Derek Falvey was sort of handcuffed. You aren't allowed to bring Sonny Gray back unless you get rid of another $20 or $30 million in salary. So I 100% agree with Joe Ryan when you break it down from those angles.
And yeah, like Sonny, if you take even just both of his now 2 seasons almost with the Cardinals, and also like his FIP last year, so his field independent pitching was significantly lower than his traditional ERA. So like he was actually a lot better than the 3.84 ERA that was suggested last year. He was striking out 11 guys per 9 at age 34. And I've had conversations in the last year and a half covering the team, the clubhouse. That dude held people not accountable, but definitely held people in line. Like that guy was a fiery personality. Not just a happy-go-lucky, aw shucks dude to be here. He held pitchers, he held players in line, and they, whether it's fair or not to say this, they believed that they could replace a guy who was the runner-up in the Cy Young voting in 2023 with Chris Paddock. And I know, Phil, you gave the other young guys, but let's actually strap. They essentially said, we are going to remove Sonny Gray from the rotation and plug in Chris Paddock, and guys like Zebby and Festa and Simeon, who wasn't on the opening day rotation. He kind of fell into place, actually has a very successful rookie season, but he wasn't supposed to be part of their opening day plans. They said we could get either the same production or similar from Sonny Gray into Chris Paddock, which completely was a farce. It wasn't even close.
They were wrong because they love to use statistics and analytics, right? Let's just go off of, but from an ERA standpoint, they were wrong by a full run. When you take the Cardinals' performance, they were wrong by almost 2 full runs of ERA. Sonny Gray's last Twins performance with Chris Paddock, 2024, and in terms of expected ERA or fielding independent pitching, they were wrong by a full run. So they were just wrong across the board, unless it was 100% ownership driven, in which they're saying we don't care if there's a 1-run drop off in this. We need to save that money, which is plausible.
Oh, I think that's one case where that's 100% what transpired. I think that was Joe Pohlad said when they saw how much they were going to lose from their what is now FanDuel Sports Network deal. I think they didn't care. And what Joe Ryan is saying, though, and he's not wrong, is because if you trace the demise of the 2024 Twins, it actually goes, I think, 2 weeks before the skid started in Chicago against the Cubs when Ryan walked off the mound and was essentially done for the season. And I think his point is, okay, you still had Pablo, but we didn't have a guy behind me. Like having Pablo, Sonny, and Joe was fantastic. Like that was not a luxury, but it was a really good threesome. Okay, if you remove one of those guys, but you still have 2, you probably make the playoffs. And
Bailey,
I think that
Bailey Ober last year was still effective, like that. But to your point, like if Bailey Ober slides into be your 4th,
well, right, but that's how they exactly.
Yeah,
like 2023 was good for a reason, and when you take a guy that is a leader and a bulldog. I mean, Sonny Gray was a bulldog. He was a modern day, as far as the mentality goes, not the results necessarily. Jack Morris. He could be an a-hole, which was great. I think he was also the guy who insisted that they all go when a pitcher had a bullpen session between starts. He insisted that all the starters go watch those sessions because he's like, one, we can help, and two, we can learn from it. And you take that out, and it hurts. But I think this is the beginning. I think that's the first Joe Ryan salvo, and I don't blame him for trying to get out, and he should try to get out.
I think there needs to be a Joe Ryan come to Jesus meeting this winter. Not in terms of like, why are you speaking out against the organization? I think at this point, in the absence of leadership from the poll ads and on down, like players are they're gonna speak to reporters and they're gonna air out some stuff because they want stuff out there, right?
Yep.
The come to Jesus meeting needs to be, you got 2 years left of team control. He's an arbitration guy in 2026 and 27. Then he can be unrestricted free agency going into the 2028 season. Their first priority should be to re-sign him to a 5 or a 6 year long-term extension, because he's 29, but if you could get him ages 30 through like 32, 33 at $30-35 million a year, I think it's worth it. He's an internal development story, a guy you traded for when he was in the minor leagues. And I think if you're looking to put together a competitive winning team and tell the audience that buys tickets and watches you on TV that you actually take this seriously, then you would offer a guy like that a contract extension. I don't think there's any way he would sign one right now with this organization.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that's the come to Jesus meeting is, all right, even if we make you a really fair offer, is there any way that you want to still be here? And if he says no, then you probably should trade him this winter to maximize his value over 2 full seasons of cheap team control, right?
Yeah. Also, if I remember this correctly, because this is a classic Twins trope thing to defend letting a guy walk in free agency, is, well, they're going to get a comp pick, which they did. They got a comp pick in the draft. They got the 33rd overall pick. That was the highest comp pick in the compensatory round of the draft in 2024. The Twins took Kyle DeBarge. DeBarge is in high A Cedar Rapids this year. I will say he has 66 stolen bases, which is badass. 66 stolen bases in 121 games. He got off to a blistering start. Was hitting like over 300 over the last 3 months as the season's winding down here with Cedar Rapids. He's kind of stalled out. But he's 21 years old. He's hitting 237. He's stealing some bags, which is great. But that can't be the reason to why you let an ace pitcher walk out the door for nothing either.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I guess my least favorite thing here is there just doesn't seem to be any direction of where this team is going. And man, we were there last Tuesday for a game. Everyone in the Twins territory and the state of Minnesota is completely checked out of this team. And I don't really know what the end result is to get morale back. This is always a difficult dance, especially for a market like this, when football season starts and you have a non-competitive team. Like, let's say the Twins weren't this bad, but they were, maybe floating around 500 or so. This always causes a drop-off with Minnesota fans when the Vikings start, which is kind of natural. But this is as low as it gets, and I just don't know how you try to get fans back. Like, you can fire a manager, and maybe you end up firing and blow up the whole Falvey and the front office, which I don't think they're going to do. But I don't know what it is that gets morale back into here, because this is a death march, as Plouffe has talked about with us on Tuesdays, when you have players now kind of stat hunting and have nothing to play for. And I don't blame Joe one bit for airing out that stuff about Sonny Gray either. That's not a why are you doing this? It's a, yeah, I understand why you're doing it. That's kind of my least favorite thing, is there just doesn't seem to be any direction and any plan to try to get your fans back or try to get this team back right on track beyond 2025.
I'd love to do an episode. Maybe we do it later this week, where it's funny because we actually did a similar episode a year ago, mapping out, here are like 4 or 5 things you could do as an organization to get fans back on board, to just get the momentum going in the right direction. We should just do a whole episode, and we can go around listing different things, but the answers are out there. There are plenty of organizations throughout baseball. The Rockies didn't the Rockies have like 40,000 fans? And they
Rockies
lost
been drawn.
Yes. 100 games for the 3rd straight season.
Yep.
And people just go to hang out at the ballpark because it's fun, and you can get a little buzz on a Friday night or a Thursday night. Like that one of the biggest shames of the last couple of years with the Twins is they've had some bad seasons throughout Target Field, And attendance was never going to be at the 40,000 per game mark necessarily that it was the first couple of years of a new ballpark. But even when they were bad 5, 6, 8 years into the new ballpark, they were still putting 27, 30, 32,000 fans in there per game. It's now 22,000 and dropping. They've made that place uncool to hang out at. That's how bad their brand is right now. It used to be that, well, it's a bad Twin season. It's 2011, it's 2018, whatever. But, Target Field's a pretty fun place to hang out. So let's go hang out at the ballpark. And they're even losing that part of their branding, the cool place to hang out part of the situation.
As far as toxic franchises currently go right now, I put the Twins with Pittsburgh. The Athletics, I don't know, because they play in Sacramento. Like they're toxic too, but I don't know that there's
toxic
a fan base.
To who though?
Yeah, exactly. You got to be toxic to your fan base. They don't have one. But like if you look at like a Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh's just this. Pittsburgh, they hate the owner. It's a great stadium. There's parallels here. Great stadium, small market, small revenue team that has had success. When they have success, it's great. So. Yeah, I think the Twins are in a collection at the bottom of baseball as far as toxic franchises, which is an absolute shame. And the longer that we go without knowing who these mysterious minority owners are going to be, which is supposed to help things, cash influx, the more that it gets to be like, why do we even trust you about this?
Why would you even make that announcement if you weren't ready to tell people who the minority owners are? It was like a rush to get clobbered over the head from a PR standpoint.
Yeah.
They tripped all over themselves to announce something that they got hammered for when they could have just waited for because there could have been a positive spin on, even if there's not any former players involved. If there's fresh people joining the organization, that is a chance for you to frame it as fresh thinking, fresh money, fresh ideas.
Right.
If you can talk about who those people are. It's super weird the way that they handled that announcement.
Yeah, August 13th was when the Twins called off the sale. Yeah. So it's been almost a full month now. There's going to be an approval timeline of when MLB approves, or there's some minutia here that probably goes over our heads. But it's been a month.
Well, but just wait though. Here's what I don't get. I think that you traded 11 players at the deadline or that week, and I think you waited a week and a half. So people are pissed, but they're like sort of pissed, but they check out, which is fine. Yeah. They check out, and a week and a half after that, you come back and do this.
Yeah,
that would be a great story. Somebody needs to find out who authorized the code red here. Like seriously, who authorized? Phil's right. Like, why wouldn't you just wait until take your pick, November 1st?
Was there the only thing I can think of is that there was a reason behind the scenes why they had to announce that they were no longer for sale the second week in August that the public isn't privy to, because any other explanation lacks so much self-awareness for an organization that leads the league in lacking self-awareness a lot over the years. Yeah. But it is like, okay, we're going to announce something that people are going to hate. Do we have to announce this right now? And actually, and that's a segue into my favorite Twins thing in a second here. And I know Declan probably wants to talk about a couple of our great partners, but I do want to throw one nugget out to finish out least favorite things. My least favorite thing, and I tweeted about this over the weekend, from stathead.com and Mackey Stats and Information.
LLC.
My least favorite thing is that the Twins have squandered a 13-game winning streak more than any team in baseball history has ever squandered a 13-game winning streak. Yes, do you remember the Twins won 13 consecutive games earlier this year, which is crazy when you watch what's happening now. I don't think they've won. When's the last time they won back-to-back games?
A few weeks ago. They won series against. They won like the random series against Detroit, I think, or Kansas City.
Okay.
It's been a few weeks. It's been a few weeks.
Back-to-back games, a few weeks.
Yeah, a few weeks.
So since 1901, there's been 79 instances of major league teams winning 13 consecutive games in a season. So it's a pretty exclusive club. It happens on average like way less than once per year. So 79 times since 1901. And as you can imagine, most of those 79 teams that win 13 consecutive games in a year go on to win like 90 or 95 or 100 or 114 games or whatever it is. because you got to be pretty damn good usually to win 13 straight games. So right now, the 1999 Padres, who are one of the only teams of those 79 that didn't finish 500 or better, they hold the worst record of any team that won 13 games in a row in a season. 74-88 is what they finished in 1999. The Twins are on pace to finish 70-92 based on their season-long winning percentage right now. So they would be the worst team in baseball history to win at least 13 consecutive games in a single season.
That winning streak makes me mad, actually. It actually upsets me because it was so fraudulent. It was so fraudulent that they won 13 consecutive games. And if you recall, they had had a terrible April, and the 13-game win streak sort of dug them out. They weren't in great shape, but they were in good shape. Yeah. And they became a wild card team, and it's like, okay, you're sort of back to a point of being competitive. And after that, they've just absolutely, like, April, June, July, August. That May winning streak makes me mad. It upsets me. It upsets me.
Incredible waste of a winning streak.
How about you go take your frustrations? You go to Running Aces. We hung out there on Thursday. We had a blast. We were on a big screen. Great tap selection. Great vibes at Running Aces. A lot of fun.
Yeah, Running Aces is it's actually one of my favorite places, and I it's been a few years since I've been there, but I used to spend a lot of time there playing poker back in the day. They just recently underwent a multi-million-dollar renovation. This is not your typical casino scene. 35 just north edge of the Twin Cities, massive parking lot, hotel attached, smoke-free, bright, energy-filled, tons of fun events, and a 53-foot continuous TV wall that measures as the largest LED screen in the state of Minnesota, perfect for watching sports, watching football. Man, that place was it was packed. People having a great time last Thursday for the Purple Daily Unplugged, but also for the first football game of the season. And it's super easy access, like I said, off 35. So find out more at runaces.com. That's runacesdex.com.
Yeah, and also Element Hotel. Hey, Yankee fans, you coming to Target Field here in a couple days? I have a place to stay. SKORNorth.com/element. You can get 15% off your room rate, whether you're coming in from out of town, whether looking for a staycation, or if you even want to like double dip between a Vikings game with home games coming up here. SKORNorth.com/element. It's a Westin Hotel by Marriott. Free fitness center, free Wi-Fi. Great location there in the North Loop. Go to SKORNorth.com/element. Also, just one more quick shout out here. It was a couple weeks ago. A horrible thing obviously happened at Annunciation Church in Minneapolis. SKORNorth.com/donate. We still have that active for a couple more days. Appreciate everyone that's helped us, I think, push almost over $7,000-$8,000. So thank you so much. We're going to give that to the school here in a couple days. If you still feel inclined to donate, whatever you feel comfortable with, SKORNorth.com/donate. I personally don't really have a favorite Twins thing.
I do.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite Twins thing?
The fans speaking their mind in this Athletic article.
Okay, that's where I was going to go.
I mean, it is.
It's a good way to put it.
If there's any question about what the fans think is wrong with this team, credit to Aaron Gleeman and company at The Athletic. So they put together essentially a satisfaction survey among Twins fans with specific questions. And they got 6,000 responses on this thing, which is about what their season ticket subscriber base probably is. It's probably a little higher than that. And one of the questions was, do you want the poll ads to sell the team? 6,000 responses. 98.5% said, yes, I want the poll ads to sell the team.
Yep.
Not 70%.
No.
Not even when, like, regardless of who the president of the United States is, everyone has a super strong opinion, right? And even, like, the worst and best approval ratings back and forth are like 60%. If you're a 60% approval rating, you're doing a damn good job as a president. And if you're doing a bad job and the public thinks you're terrible, it's like 35%, right? It's never 98.5% for really anything in any subsection of society. And then there's further questions like, what grade would you give Rocco Baldelli? And it's actually like 30% gives him an A or a B, and then like 50% a C, and then only 17% give him a D or an F, which is okay. So like Rocco is well liked relative to the other figures in the Twins organization. What grade would you give the Twins front office? It gets a little bit more DFC stuff. It's like 12% A or B, 33% C, and then it's over 50% say D or F. So it's pretty bad for the Twins front office. What grade would you give the Twins ownership? And it's 97% D or F, and the rest is mostly C. So it is, we were talking to Plouffe about this, like what's the pie chart of reasons why people don't go to baseball games at Target Field? This survey lays it out for you. Fans cannot be more crystal clear with their communication. They hate the Pohlad ownership tenure. They are ready for it to be over. So back to our conversation about a month ago, they rushed to the press release to send out, hey, our family is keeping the Twins in Minnesota, or we're keeping ownership of the Twins here. We're sticking around. We're not selling the team, right? If you were in tune at all with your fan base, you would know that maybe you didn't know it was 98.5%, but you had to know it was like 75 or 80% dislike rate. What are you doing about it? That's my question. Like, okay, you're not going to sell the team. You're going to keep the team. You're going to keep taking the bullets, right? What are you doing about it? And I don't think clearly they don't have an answer that they're ready to bring publicly yet. But that's my favorite thing, is the way that the fans have unequivocally spoken out.
So that percentage on the poll ads is, my guess is it's at 80 to 85%. If you don't announce that you're going to sell the team, yay! And then come back a year after and say, just kidding, not going to. But we've got minority investors who we don't name. Boo! I mean, you can't tell people you're going to do something if you are already not liked and you announce that you are basically going to step aside, and then in the midst of things falling apart and becoming even worse and more dire, you come in and say, no, just kidding, we're not going to sell the team. So look, I'll go back to what I've said. What are they going to do about it? I don't think that they are smart enough baseball owners to have any idea. I don't think they come off as arrogant. They come off as clueless. They're tone deaf. They are every negative connotation or word that you can think of. So why would we think, and we can talk till we're blue in the face about what we would do, why would we think that they have any answers? They're surrounded by yes men and probably an entire franchise of people who are telling them they're great, or they're hiding them, they're shielding them from the truth. So
they need to. I hope that they see this.
I don't think
because you need to like deal in truth. This is the way people feel. The attendance has spoken it. You get the vibes. You can just feel it. So let's deal in truth. Let's not reject what these numbers are saying here. And now going forward, if you care. And by the way, what I find funny is like, you have to care because this is your business. Imagine this being a restaurant, for instance. If like the Twins were a restaurant and you ran this poll and things aren't going well for the restaurant, people aren't going in there, they're not eating the food, they're complaining about the food, and you're wondering, man, what happened? We used to have such a bussin' restaurant, Judd, to use the term from last week.
I'm going to get that one changed.
How can we get this thing lit or bussin' again? Be great. Well, if you had a poll question that said, do you want the current restaurant owners to sell the restaurant? And 98.5% of people said yes. And then if you listed out various reasons why people might not like the restaurant, and the overwhelming favorite was, we hate the owner/head chef. Hate it. We don't want, I will no longer go to that restaurant until the owner/head chef is gone. Well, the owner/head chef then has two choices. One, sell the restaurant and just be done, right? Or two, do something drastic to overhaul the perception of how people think about you and your restaurant and your food.
Right. But that would have to mean that the person who is the owner/chef is not clueless. Not to mention loaded. So their contention is, well, if we win again, it's all fine. I mean, look at Joe Pohlad's quotes, the rare times that he talks to the media. Go back and look at his quotes. They're all just like, well, if we win, it's fine. Well, but that's really not true because you are so far away from that. You need to have answers. And anytime that Joe is pushed by, let's say, Gleeman, who has done a pretty good job of showing his contempt for Joe, which is correct, Joe comes back with an absolutely clueless, dismissive tone. Like, when's the last time that Joe gave an answer where you said, "Oh, he's really being a bit reflective here"? It's always these just total, well, if we do this or if we do that, I know. He is and the Pohlads are the classic clueless adults who think that they're talking to children. Well, you don't understand what we're doing here. No, I do. You're screwing it up. You're not very smart. You don't understand. So, to your point, Phil, yeah, all of these things would be great if we were dealing with people who had any common sense. They don't, and they're making it very clear. And the problem, too, is they've now managed to surround themselves baseball ops-wise with a bunch of people who, for lack of a better term, probably lack personality and see things very black and white.
Yeah, do they have, I mean, to that point, in baseball ops and even in business ops, after getting rid of Thad Levine and getting rid of Dave St. Peter on the business side, right? Not getting rid of, but like retiring or whatever, however that worked out.
He geniusly stepped aside.
With Falvey and then the people on the baseball ops side, but do you, as one of the 30 baseball teams in the world, Major League Baseball, these are prestigious organizations, even though this is the current state of this one. Do you have the best people in the world working on your baseball department, on your scouting reports, everything? And if the answer is yes, okay, then maybe there's a player problem. But like, let's start untangling the why here. Why, from a public perception and a wins and losses and attendance standpoint, did we get here?
How much would you guys both guess? Total guess, because we don't know for sure. But how much would you guys both speculate that Thad Levine played an absolutely crucial role, not even in necessarily baseball decisions, but in how things played out baseball ops-wise from a common sense, helping Derek make the right statement or do so because I mean Derek can probably make baseball moves, I think, but Thad Levine to me was always the guy in the room who you were like, okay, I get what you're saying.
I don't know all the inner workings of like how everything played out over 8 years, but I do know two things from having covered baseball and have enough connections around baseball. Thad Levine, super highly respected for 15 years, inside baseball and outside baseball, just as a thinker and a business person and also as a baseball ops guy. And the second thing I know to be true is that his role was reduced over the course of his time in Minnesota. And what I don't know is how much of that was like he wanted a reduction in role and duties. He was here for the build, and then his role was kind of, they just landed the plane on it, or how much of it was internal butting of heads. I don't know that for sure. But they took a guy that was really well respected, and his role reduced in some form over the years. And I don't know. We'll see what happens with Thad Levine. But yeah, they lost a really smart dude from their cabinet.
Mm-hmm. Trevor Plouffe Tuesday tomorrow on the SKOR North Twins Show. We'll talk to Plouffe, try to get his thoughts on what the hell's going on too. So hit the like button, subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. Purple Daily ready to rock with Vikings Vent Line later this evening, plus Flagrant Howls. Gophers 101, which is now a go-to. So go check that out on the SKOR North YouTube channel and on your Apple and Spotify feeds. SKOR North Twins Show will be talking at you soon.